Even when it comes to wildlife, rich biodiversity is important for a thriving environment, whether it be our oceans, the African plains, or tropical rainforests. Having diverse organisms is pivotal for an ecosystem's success. The same applies to us as humans in our professional environments. Having a diverse workplace is the driving force behind innovation and is key for a company's growth. I'm here at CES to see how companies and individuals are recognizing the need for diversity and ways that we can all work together to make change and be more inclusive. Let's go.
I'm so excited for you all to be here. We spent a lot of time kind of curating an experience here, and we're excited to kick it off with this panel, Implementing Diversity from the Top. My name is Tiffany Moore. I am the Senior Vice President of Political and Industry Affairs for the Consumer Technology Association. We own and produce CES, and we're excited that you're here. I want to briefly introduce the amazing panel, and we're going to have a great conversation. To my immediate left is Carmalita Yeizman, the North American Lead for Diversity and Inclusion at Bosch. We also have Lesley Slaton Brown, Chief Diversity Officer of HP. Lastly, we have Ben Hassan, Senior Vice President and Chief Culture. I want to learn more about Chief Culture, Diversity and Inclusion Officer at Walmart. From your vantage point in your companies, can you talk a little bit about the genesis of the D&I role in your organization and kind of what was the kind of impetus of kind of creating it within the organization?
The global organization kind of said, okay, D&I is really important for us, and we really want to make sure that we are focused in on it. So much has developed around the conversation of diversity and inclusion at Bosch since 2011, and so it's just been a really, really great organic growth for our organization.
Diversity and inclusion and culture is a part of our legacy. We had the opportunity to design our own board of directors, and it was taking some from HP Company and then building into the new company. And so I'm happy to say, I'm actually proud to say, that we're at 45% women and 55% total minorities for our board of directors. So since 2015, we've been building, and we continue to be intentional about how we start at the top, and the influence that the board has is tremendous.
One of the things we did 4.5 years ago, we really shifted from kind of a compliance approach to the work to a social science and a neuroscience approach to the work, to really begin to understand what is it about human beings that causes them, their first reaction to difference is a non-inclusive reaction.
Hip-hop MD, hip-hop science. I'm Carmalita Yeizman. She just got off stage, a wonderful panel talking about diversity and inclusion from the top to the bottom, right? Which is exactly how it needs to be done as far as if we're gonna really encourage change. Tell us a little bit about some of the work that you're doing right now and some advice for companies that are looking to create a more diverse workplace.
Some of the work that I'm doing around diversity and inclusion is really allowing people to feel comfortable and have space to have these conversations. And so at Bosch, we really are just really trying to give people, you know, that availability, open up those platforms, open up those spaces for people to kind of come in and challenge kind of what's going on in the organization, in a sense where we can allow for technology and people from different multicultural backgrounds to enter in and really feel included coming into the organization.
One of the things I really appreciated on your talk was really working with programs that are helping like K-12 students, because I'm really big into that, because I really feel like you got to really start them young. Tell us a little bit about some of the work that your company is doing in assisting K-6 or even high school students in STEM.
We are really excited about having those type of programs. So we do a lot of, you know, K-12. So for example, we have our Engineering Society Detroit, which are mostly girls in the middle school. So we allow them to come on site to Bosch and open up the space for them to really have experiences hands-on with our technology, with our, you know, spheres and with our Raspberry Pis, and really just open up that space for them to play around with coding, play around with, you know, all the technology that we have to offer. We also are really big in FIRST robotics, so really champion those individuals, those high school students, to really push themselves above and beyond, and allowing our resource groups to mentor them in that space.
Today we're talking about contributing to the bottom line, a panel on employee resource groups. employee resource groups, if you don't know, were launched in 1964 as a response to racial strife in the United States. Sherika Ekpo, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Lead from Google AI and Research. Bernard Coleman, Head of Inclusive Engagement and Partnerships at Uber. And Arielle Gross, Head of Global Business Strategy and Engagement at Facebook. Google has a really strong relationship with its employee resource groups. Can you tell us about some of the groups and their impact?
Google is a grassroots organization. And so I would like to take credit and say, you know, our leadership team said we should have these employee resource groups, let's do this. But in fact, the employees came together and said, we want this. So at Google, we have about 16 different ERG groups. One of the ERGs that I would like to talk about today is VetNet, who have really worked with us to identify different opportunities for military spouses as well as other service members to help them get back into the workforce.
One that I've personally come to enjoy is parental leave. We have a parents ERG. They came up with providing 18 weeks of parental leave for parents. The other one though that I think is transformational, we have a Pride ERG, focusing on a need, working together collaboratively across Uber to create a document that's shared on Uber.com now about what it takes to transition, those resources in place. It's not to say that we got it perfect, but staff saw the need, saw the resources they wanted to create, and created something that didn't exist before. Now I think staff feel more supported.
Facebook, our heart, our mission is to give people the power to build community and to bring the world closer together. A recent study published by McKinsey shows that for executive leadership in the top quartile of diversity, they're demonstrating a 21-point lift in profitability and a 33-point lift in performance. So community and diversity are absolutely top priorities for us at Facebook. We have 9 global ERGs. They cut across race, gender, ethnicity, veteran status, disability, and really focus on intersectionality and on helping people build their careers, their community, their culture at the company in a really meaningful way.
One of the big things I've loved about this event is all of the work that we're doing as far as diversity and inclusion, and it gets a chance for us to all network and see people of color that look like us here in this space here at CES. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts so far from your experience here at CES about the diversity and inclusion and just kind of your overall assessment of that.
One of the things I'm really excited about is CTA's commitment to diversity. So this year they rolled out their diversity plan to help their 2,000 member companies to think about strategically as well as tactically how they can move the needle with regards to the numbers, that's diversity, as well as the climate, which is inclusion. So improving the climate so that it's not just making sure that they get people of color and people from other diverse backgrounds and women, etc., into the companies, but they can stay and they get promoted. And so to me, that's not just about diversity, that's about inclusion, that's about belonging as well.
As consumers, all of us want products that work for us, regardless of who we are. And in order for that to happen, companies need to think about their end user and answer questions such as, are phone features equally accessible to left-handed consumers as they are to right-handed consumers? Can Google Assistant understand different dialects? And can a camera take a good picture of all different types of skin tones? So today with me, I have Annie Jean-Baptiste, Head of Product Inclusion at Google.
Basically, we look at multiple dimensions of diversity, so race, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, etc. I think the other important piece about this is we talk a lot about intersectionality when we think about this work, right? So we're not just looking at one dimension in a silo. So I always say with product teams, right, I'm a Black woman, I'm also left-handed, and I'm not Black on Monday, a woman on Tuesday, and left-handed on Wednesday, right? Like all of that is happening all the time, and that's going to affect how I use products and move through the world. And so we really want to think about those 11 dimensions of diversity and the intersections of those as we start to build products and think about where in the process we can bring that into the fold.
If we're going to be in a more diverse and inclusive workspace, we need people, like we said, we were talking about white males and also our white counterparts to really step up and do that work. Obviously that needs to happen and they need to be included in that, but there are also things that we can do and assist to really help our presence.
Really being a disruptor, so challenging kind of what's going on in the organization. If you are looking for something, if you are in need of something, making sure that you have those voices and you step into an organization that's going to value and respect kind kind of your voice, welcome your voice, and open that dialogue. If your organization is probably not having that conversation, find that ally within that organization, and you really have that conversation, and hopefully that ally would then, branch out and have conversations as well. And so that trickle-down effect will eventually tap into the organization.
We're talking a little bit about diversity and inclusion and things that we can do to empower ourselves, especially as people of color. But it's not enough to just have that conversation within ourselves. We need to have conversations with our white counterparts in our workplace to be able to make progress in that area. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on diversity and inclusion, and maybe some things that WEAR is doing to be more diverse and include people of color and women in the tech fields.
One of the things that always kind of shone through for me is that the strength of a team lies in the diversity of a team. The fashion industry is full of some amazing, eclectic, very creative, very kind of alternative people. But it's that, it's that element and that quality of human nature that is absolutely vital in fashion. Everybody thinks the same, everybody approaches the same problem in the same way, then you're really not going to get very far. But when you have a completely different different backgrounds, different experiences, different kind of, creeds and colors and all of that good stuff, that's when the variation creates strength.
NSBE's always been a fantastic organization as far as encouraging us as engineers and collectively getting us together to learn more and learn from our peers. Tell us a little bit about the work that you're currently doing with NSBE and some of the new things that you are looking to incorporate in future NSBE functions.
We had our largest convention ever with over 14,000 participants in Detroit in 2019, in March 2019. We've grown our revenue base, we've grown our staffing, and so now we're looking at, okay, what's the next innovation? We really don't want to keep propping up blockbuster video. We want to see the next innovation with regards to talent development, talent recruitment, talent education, and then placement in organizations. We are working with deans of engineering to kind of incorporate best practices for improving the success of underrepresented students. We produced a toolkit last year, a year and a half ago, that they can download from Amazon that shows 10 practices that have been successful. And now we're thinking about how can we leverage that experience in industry as well. NSBE is a broker. We have connected with so many different companies, and we know where the best practices are. One of the things we like to do is use NSBE, much like the Uber as a platform, use NSBE as a platform to bring together these best practices and then share and disseminate those best practices and then help companies along to improve their success.
We're very peppered through this environment, right? There's a lot of people here, specifically white males, and not a lot of female representation, especially African-American women. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts as far as your position in your workplace with diversity and inclusion.
Diversity needs to be a lot more in the tech field because it's so much that you can do, so many different avenues that you can branch out in.
We need to encourage our students starting in elementary school, even before they get to school, because that will make them more aware of what's going on and expose them to people that are in the industry so that they can see the different areas that they can go into.
Understand voices that are not yours and understand stories that are not yours, especially in the tech field, because there's different applications to all forms of tech, and one demo or two demos aren't going to always apply.
I think first and foremost, stop talking and start doing. Let's start doing, making things happen and really pushing to get people to get outside of their comfort zone.
If you want to find talented black technical people, guess who know where they are? Other black people. You want to find talented women? Talented women can tell you where talented women are. Your recruiting arm, your acquisition arm has to be willing to almost blow up what they've been doing and actually develop a different strategy. Go adopt a historical black college, help influence their technical program, because they will change their program if you come tell them what you need to teach in order to hire their students. They will adapt their program. Go to large public universities. There are some large public universities that are majority white universities that have large minority and women populations. Get on the campus, assign an executive from your organization to that college and get and spend time on that campus. You can actually influence the curriculum, and then you create a pipeline for talent to come into your organization.
One thing that I really appreciate about Google is we have 20% projects. And so all of our ERG leads actually take on the leadership role as a 20% project. So there is a collaborative effort to make sure that these ERGs succeed.
Don't do it alone. this is the one area where we don't have to compete with each other. Work with other companies. We have done ERG meetups where like, hey, let's come and break bread and talk about what you're doing, what are the best practices that you're doing in your company. Because a lot of folks will start an ERG in isolation and struggle when they could just reach out to another company who's doing the same thing.
I'm proud in New York, our Women's Steering Committee has gender parity, and that's been a profound leap forward. I would personally like to be doing more to be representing Pride at, Black at, other ERGs at Facebook, but I would like to see us bust silos and bring your own diversity, BYOD, to the table in a more meaningful way.
What we found are the 4 key points: the ideation phase, the user research or design phase, the user testing phase, and the marketing phase. So if you were going to focus on any points in the process, those would be the 4 points throughout the process to really build with that inclusive lens, to tell a holistic, real, authentic story with different voices.
Innovation going above and beyond what we could have ever imagined. Thank you guys so much for your input. Thank you so much for all your insight. Having this conversation between ourselves is very important. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you're doing too, to really kind of be the mouthpiece, the megaphone for STEM education, particularly in underrepresented communities. It matters. We are partners together.
Yes, 100%. All we need is one mic to be able to change the world and advance STEM. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. That is an official wrap here at CES. Not only was I able to see so much dope new technology, but I was able to connect with so many different people from all walks of life and areas of science. We were able to have deep, insightful, and meaningful conversations about culture and diversity and things that we can all do to be more inclusive, and ways that we can use diversity to help pave the way for new innovations in the future. I'm the Hip Hop MD. This is Hip Hop Science. I wonder where this exciting world of STEM will take us next.